Hi, welcome back. This is part 2 of our guide for using the Linux command line. And today we're going to go in a little bit more into creating files, moving around in the file system. We're also going to install some software, download a file from the internet via the command line. So to begin with, let's have a quick look at where we are. So we're going to do the normal pwd, which we learnt in the last tutorial, print working directory. So we're in the directory /root. You may not be at home, but we're going to make our own directory today. So the first thing we're going to do is going to go actually up a directory. So we're going to go from the folder named root to what would actually be the root of the file system, i.e. just /. That's the highest directory on this system. So now if we do pwd, we are just in /. Now we could try and go up one directory, see what happens. No, we've not gone anywhere. So that's as high as we can get on the file system. Now if you're using a hosting package, you might not have the option to actually get to this directory. That may be restricted for the system administrators for your hosting package. But that's fine if you find somewhere where you can work. Maybe not the same place that we're going to make a folder on this tutorial. But hopefully if you can find somewhere to make a folder in your web space possibly, we'll see anyway. Okay, so let's have a ls and see what files we got in there. Okay, so we got a load of files in this one, a load of folders as well. So we're going to do this, we're going to work in the home directory because it's nice to be at home. So we're going to do cd for change directory and go to the home directory. And we'll do a ls if there's anything else already in there. No, so we've got on this system, we've just got an empty home directory. Now we want to make another directory. We could just put the files that we want straight into the home directory, but we're going to make our own directory for this one. So we're going to do mk make dir directory, and then we're going to give it a name. So, well, we're going to be playing around in this, so we'll call it playground. So we're going to make a directory called playground. And there we are. Okay, so let's do an ls, see if it's there. There it is. Okay, now let's go into that directory and have a look. So if we do cd playground, and so it's an empty directory that we've got to work in. Now, just in case you're at home in a web space, so possibly you want to make sure that what we're doing is not accessible to anyone on the internet, we're going to make a file that's going to stop anyone accessing it if it was the web space. Now our home directory isn't a web space, but if you were working in your web space, maybe you've got a hosting contract, we're gonna make a file that would stop anyone accessing this folder through the web space. This is assuming your hosting provider was using the Apache web server. So we're going to create a file. Now to create a file, we just touch the file. So we're going to touch, and we're going to do .htaccess. Now htaccess is a special kind of file. We have a tutorial guide discussing it, which will be linked in the on the website web page for the video. It's a special kind of file that allows to sort of control the web space. So how it behaves. Okay, so we're going to touch htaccess. Now let's check if or .htaccess. Let's check if the file's there. ls, it's not there. Okay, this is because it's a special type of file. It's a hidden file. So the dot at the start indicates that it's a hidden file basically. So you don't necessarily see it, but we can still see hidden files. We just have to use a slightly different command. So if we do ls and then a space and then we do a hyphen and then we do a, that should show us all files. There we go. So it's .htaccess, it's right there. It's also showing us that we got the folder above accessible, and the dot actually represents the folder that you're in. Now why you'd want that we'll go into in probably in a later tutorial. So there's the htaccess file. Now at the moment it's empty, so we can send a cat in, but But yeah, empty file. Now we could use vi to edit the htaccess file, but we're not going to. We're going to use another text editor. Although if you like vi, feel free to use it. So we're going to use nano. Now, is nano installed on the server? No, it's not. Okay, so we're going to install nano. Now this is the operating system I'm using is CentOS. You might be using Ubuntu. The command is slightly different. So if it was Ubuntu, we'd do apt-get install nano. Or, because we're logged in as root, you can see my username is root here. Now that's like the top user, the king user on the server. You might not be logged in as root, but you might have sudo privileges. Now, sudo privileges means you can sort of act as root necessarily. So you would do sudo apt-get install nano, and that would install nano if you're on a Ubuntu system. But we're not Ubuntu, and we don't need to use sudo because we're root. We're CentOS, so we're going to do yum install nano. Okay, and we get the amount of space that we're going to need, so 2.2 megabytes. And there we go, so it's all installed. So now we can use nano, which is a bit of an easier text editor to use than vi, I find. It's one I prefer than vi. So we're going to do nano, and then we're going to do .htaccess. So we're going to open the htaccess file. Okay, so here's nano, and one of the reasons I think it's easier to use is you've got all these commands down here. So that little up arrow, little hat, represents a control key. So we could press Control G to get help, and then Control X to close. So it's a lot simpler to use. Okay, so what we're going to put in this htaccess file, we're just going to put deny from all. That way, if this was a web space being used by Apache, if anyone tried to access this folder, Apache would first read their .htaccess. It always tries to read that whenever it's accessing some data, and it would see deny from all. Oh, don't let anyone view what's in this folder. So you can still access it on the command line, but it would stop anyone accessing it via the web space. Okay, so now we can exit that, and such a user-friendly application, it asks, do you want to save it? So we're going to save the modified buffer, or save the file. Yep, and we're going to overwrite .htaccess. Now if we send a cat in to .htaccess, and we're using that tab completion we learnt last week, there we are, deny from all. So that will stop anyone accessing the web space. If this was web space, this isn't web space, but maybe you're working in a web space, so we thought we'd put that in for security, because there's some bad people on the internet. So what we're going to do next, so we're going to try and download a file. So we're going to use, for this, we're going to use wget. Now W stands for www, or World Wide Web, and then get is just get. So we're going to get something from the World Wide Web, and what we're going to get is a file that I've put accessible for you. So it's https, so we're going to do it securely, https://klrom, that's Kilo Lima ROM, .com/learning/longfile.txt. This is going to be a long file, so download that. Okay, and I think that's done, so let's do an ls to make sure it's there. And there we are, there's the longfile.txt. Now, a little earlier we did the ls-a to view all files. One that's useful that gives you a few extra things, so it's ls-, and I like to remember it as lash, but with a capital S. And what that does, it gives you a nice neat arrangement of the files. So they're ordered in size order, so largest file at the top, smallest at the bottom, and it'll also give you file permissions, which we'll go into in a later tutorial. You can see these ones, we've got a D at the front, which means they're directories. So that's the directory above and the directory we're in. And we've also got file permissions. We've also got the size in a human read. That's what the H stands for, in a human readable format. So 56 kilobytes for this long file.txt, and then 14 bytes for the .htaccess file, because it's only a little file. So this long file.txt. Now, if we send a cat in, okay, so that is a long file. So I've filled it full of text, lots of lines that say not here, and I've got some numbers on here. So that's quite a long file. Now, you're probably going to come across long files a lot of the time if you're going to be working with the Linux command line. Now, log files might be a very long one. You might not want to see the whole file at once. So what can we do about that? Now, we can use some other commands to view bits of the file. So we can use head. Now, head will allow us to view just the start of the file, the head of the file. And if we specify after that, we could go a little hyphen, and then we're going to do 10. So head -10, and then we're going to do long file.txt, and then that will allow us to hopefully view the first 10 lines of this file, but none of the others. And there we are. So from that command, we've run those, and we've seen the first 10 lines, which I've numbered up 1 to 10, and put not here because we want to be able to search this file in a bit, but we'll go into that in a moment. And in the same token, as well as head, we can also do tail. So we can do tail, and then we can say the last 10 lines. You might want to do more, you might want to do 15, doesn't matter. Tail -10 long file.txt. Let's see, the last 10 lines, 9, 8, 7, so we've got a countdown there. So that's how to use head and tail. Another one for tail is the tail, which is very useful if you're trying to monitor a log file in real time in the future. So if we do tail -f, that's to follow. So we're going to follow the file, long file-txt. Now, that's showing me the last 10 lines. Here, it's not really demonstrated because this file isn't changing, but if you had a log file that was changing, anything that comes up, anything that changes at the end of the file, it would come up here. So it's following the file in real time, but in this case, this file's not changing. Now, what's happened here is because we're still in this command is still running, it's still trying to read the file, and if there was any changes, we'd see them. But we need to be able to get out of that. Now, to get out, you use Control and C, and that'll take us out there. You can see Control C has been run, and it's taken out of that. Now, that'll be relevant if you come across a command that you've run and you're sort of stuck in the command. You need to know how to get out of them. So that's Control and C to get out there. Now, in this file, I've hidden a line here that's different to the rest. They're all not here, but there's one line that's different. So how would we find that? Now, we can do cat -n to list the line numbers. Now, I've put some numbers in here anyway, but in this case, it's also going to give us the line numbers. So cat -n, and then long file.txt. That'll do the same thing, but it'll number all the lines. Now, that's a lot of lines, 3,552 lines. We could search for them all manually, but that's going to take a little while. Now, there's one line in here that's called something different. It's got the word found in it. So if we want to search this file for the word found, so somewhere in here there's a line with the word found in it that we want to find. Now, how do we do that? Now, you can use cat, so we can cat the file. So I'm going to cat long. In fact, we'll cat with the line number. Long file.txt, and that will just do the same thing as we've just done. So we need to take that output. Now, we take the output that we would have got here, like this output, and we use a pipe. So we send that output down a pipe. Now, the pipe is the upright line, looks a bit like an I, capital I. On my keyboard, it's next to the Z, a shift and the letter, then the backslash key, just to the left of the Z. So we pipe that. Now, we can pipe that into a tool used for searching, which we call grep. So grep. So we're going to pipe that to grep, and then we're going to search for the word found. And then see what happens. Oh, and I've spelt long file wrong. Here's another little tip while we're there. So the up arrow will allow you to go through the commands you've already run. So if I press the up arrow, I can run through all these commands. It's good if you're like me and you keep mistyping stuff. So here we go, we've got edit that to longfile.txt, and then we're going to grep it for the word found. And there we go. So we got on line 2019, we got 404, well done, you found me, exclamation mark. And it's highlighted the word we're looking for. So that's very useful if you're searching through log files and maybe you're looking for an email that was sent in a mail log or something like that, and you want to find it in the log, and it's thousands of lines long. Using the grep command is a great way to find it. Okay, so that's it for part 2 of this series. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'd welcome you back for part 3. Thank you.